Okay, picking up with Act 2, Scene 2, Hamlet, 1268 in the 11th edition. Around line, we'll start with 160. Gertrude, Claudius, and Polonius have been discussing Hamlet and his issues, let's say. Polonius suggests that Hamlet's problems are caused by his love for Ophelia and that he told Ophelia to not let Hamlet see her anymore. So, Polonius suggests, in response to the kings, how may we try it further? That is, how can we get better proof of your supposition? Polonius says, line 161, at such a time I'll loose my daughter to him. Be you and I behind an arras then, mark the encounter. If he love her not, and be not from his reason fallen thereon, let me be no assistant for a state, but keep a farm and carters. So the queen has said, Hamlet normally walks for several hours in this long hall. Polonius's idea is, let you and I, king, stand behind an arras. Okay, keep in mind the stage looks like this. At these two doors, there are often curtains, okay, that are used to block the doors when this is supposed to be a hall. When it's supposed to be doorways, they open the curtains. That's what the arras is. Arras is just another word for curtains. So he says, we'll stand behind the curtains and listen. We'll overhear this conversation. Or we'll eavesdrop, okay? Another form of spying. And notice he says, I'll loose my daughter to him. That's kind of a technical term. When you're referring to other creatures and you say, I'll loose such and such on something else, there's usually only one kind of creature that we use that term to describe. Or there's only one kind of creature that that term is used for, and it's usually dogs. I'll loose the dogs on whatever the thing is. Here he says, I'll loose my daughter on him, to him, okay? So the king says, we'll try it. Hamlet comes in, reading a book, and Polonius says, go away, I'll talk to him. So at this moment, he and the king are not going to do the spying on Hamlet. He's going to confront Hamlet and see if he can figure out what's wrong with Hamlet. So he says, I'll board him presently. Board is a naval military term or naval pirating term. When you want to take over another cruise boat, you have long boards on the top deck of the ship. They have spikes in one end. You throw those down so that the spikes hit either the railing or the deck of the opposing ship, and you run across and take control. So what he's saying here is, I'm going to accost Hamlet. It's a violent term. He's not going to go up and, manhandle him, so to speak. So, how does my lord Hamlet? Well, God have mercy. Do you know me, my lord? Polonius probably asked him, do you know me? Because Hamlet hasn't responded the way Polonius expects him to. Excellent, well, you are a fishmonger. Okay? Fishmonger. Your gloss tells you an opprobrious expression meaning bawd, procurer. He's a pimp, is what Hamlet is saying. You're a pimp. You sell flesh, women, boys. Okay? Fishmonger has a higher surface level meaning. That pimp meaning, that's a lower level connotation. The literal dictionary definition for fishmonger is someone who sells fish. A monger is a seller. So you have ironmongers, you have all kinds of things like that, all right? Polonius, not I, my lord. He's offended. How dare you call me a pimp? Then I would you were so honest a man. Why? Do you go to a pimp to buy a car? No. You go to a pimp to buy clothes? Nope. You go to a pimp for one reason. You're buying sex. Honest, my lord? Polonius doesn't know what he's talking about. I, sir, to be honest as this word goes, is to be one man picked out of 10,000. That is, 1 in 10,000 is honest. Yeah, that's true. Hamlet. For if the sun breed maggots in a dead dog, being a good kissing carrion, have you a daughter? What? What the hell is Hamlet talking about? That's what Polonius is thinking. How does he go from being a fishmonger and being honest to the sun breeding maggots in dead dogs? Okay? It was a medieval and Renaissance commonplace idea that the reason dead animal carcasses, after a couple of days, have maggots in them is because the sun is impregnating them with the maggots. Right? Because you don't see anything else growing up and essentially having sex with the dead animal. So something's got to cause it. So it's thought that the sun did this. Okay? You got to hold on to that. The idea is going to be important again later on in Hamlet's talk with Ophelia after his to be or not to be speech. Okay? If the sun breed maggots in a dead dog, being a good kissing carrion, have you a daughter? What does the daughter have to do with the sun, maggots, dead dogs? I have, my lord. Let her not walk in the sun. Conception is a blessing, as your daughter may conceive. What's Hamlet's point? Notice, let her not walk in the sun. Well, we just discussed how the sun breeds maggots in a dead dog. If your daughter goes walking out in the sun, what's going to happen? She's going to breed maggots. The sun's going to impregnate her. That's the logical line of what Hamlet is suggesting. Okay? Conception is a blessing. Why? The Old Testament gives all kinds of stories, all kinds of aphorisms, if you want, about how children are a blessing by God. But as your daughter may conceive, look to it, Polonius has an aside then. And bear in mind, in an aside, the people on the stage don't hear what the speaker says. The audience hears it. And only the audience hears it. Polonius, how say you by that? Still harping on my daughter. But he didn't know me at first. He said I was a fishmonger. It's far gone. In other words, Hamlet's lost it. Hamlet's totally crazy. And yet truly in my youth I suffered much extremity for love. Polonius is telling us something about himself there. When I was Hamlet's age, I kind of lost it over love too. Very near this. I'll speak to him again. Remember, Hamlet came in with a book, reading it. What do you read, my lord? Words, words, words. What is the matter, my lord? Okay, that question can have two very different meanings, right? If I walk up to you and say, what's the matter? You're going to respond with what? The reason I would say what's the matter is there's a look. Something's wrong, okay? He asks Hamlet, what is the matter? He's asking Hamlet, what is the matter of the material you are reading? What is it about? Hamlet takes it to be the first kind of question. Between who? What's the matter? Between who? Now, if you think about it, that's a pretty deep question. The play begins with what question? Who's there? when Polonius asks what's the matter, and Hamlet says, between who? Hamlet is kind of implying there is a matter, there is a question between two people. It's not between Hamlet and Polonius, it's not between Hamlet and Ophelia. It's between Hamlet and whom? Claudius. There is a matter between them. That matter is that Claudius killed Hamlet Sr., Claudius's brother, Hamlet's father. I mean the matter of what you read, my lord. Oh, that. Slanders. And Hamlet gives a little speech where he says, the one I'm reading about is talking about old men. And he says some things about what the old men are and how they behave, etc., etc. Polonius. Though this be madness, yet there is method in it. What he means by method is there's order, there's structure, there's meaning. It's not totally drivel. It's not like Hamlet's just sitting there going, blah, 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 blah. There's something to what he is saying. And again, that's an aside. So he asks Hamlet, will you walk out of the air, my lord? Meaning, will you leave this enclosed space and go outside on the balcony? Like to get some fresh air. Hamlet, into my grave. Okay, so, will you walk out of the air, Hamlet, into my grave? Polonius, yeah, that's out of the air, all right. Right? Because when you're in the grave, you're covered up, there's no air there. Another aside. How pregnant sometimes his replies are. What does pregnant mean there? If you see a woman who's pregnant, what does that mean? Obviously. She's got a baby, she's going to give birth. In other words, there's something there. And it's about to come out. When he says how pregnant sometimes his replies are, he means they are full of meaning. They haven't been delivered. That meaning hasn't been entirely expressed, but there's a lot there. What did Hamlet say to his mother in response to, why seems it so particular to thee? That is, the death of his father. He says, seems? No, 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 no. All these things, his crying, his sighing, his black clothes, etc., he says, these are the suits and trappings of woe. There's something in me much, much more. In other words, Hamlet is pregnant, so to speak, with meaning, with issues, problems, you could say. So, woe or sorrow, okay? How pregnant sometimes his replies are, a happiness that often madness hits on, which reason and sanity could not so prosperously be delivered of. I will leave him and do what? Contrive to set my daughter on him, like I talked with the king and queen. So he says to Hamlet, my honorable lord, I will most humbly take my leave of you. Very standard Britishism. Very standard way of speaking when you want to leave. I must take my leave now. Like, my leave is here, and I'm getting it, and I'm going to go away with it, like it's my ball or something. Look at Hamlet's response. You cannot, sir, take from me anything that I will more willingly part withal. You can't take from me something I what? Freely give. What's the thing Hamlet is freely giving? Get the hell out of here. You can't take my desire for you to leave away from me. Just go. But he doesn't stop there. Accept my life, accept my life, accept my life. Okay? Go back to the first part. You cannot take from me anything that I will more willingly part. Accept my life, accept my life, accept my life. What is Hamlet saying? Remember his first soliloquy? Oh, that this too sullied flesh would thaw, melt, resolve itself into a dew, or that the Almighty had not fixed his canon against self-slaughter. He's contemplating suicide, but he can't do it. Why not? You can't repent of suicide. Here, you can take your leave. I willingly give that. But you can't take. But you can take what? That is, you can't take your leave from me because I give you that. But you can take my life. You ever heard of the phrase suicide by cop? Suicide by cop is when somebody who wants to die, they want to commit suicide, but they can't do it. They don't have the guts. So what do? What's the quickest way for anybody to get killed by a cop? Pull a gun on a cop. What's a cop trained to do? You pull, it doesn't matter the cop, male, female, white, black, Asian, Hispanic. You pull a gun on a cop. You pull a knife on a cop. And if you're close, we're not even close right here. But I'm close enough that if he was a cop and I had a knife, you'd shoot me. And it wouldn't be, like people suggest on TV, shoot you in the arm or in the knee. No, you go for the main body mass. You shoot for the torso. Hamlet is kind of almost suggesting, almost, kill me now. That soliloquy that he began with, the long soliloquy that was his first soliloquy, what does he say about the world to him? It sucks, man. There is nothing pleasing in it. Okay? But now, Hamlet has a reason to live, doesn't he? What's his reason? 2 words. Kill Claudius. He has a purpose. Okay? Rosencrantz and Guildenstern come in. So, Polonius leaves. Why do Rosencrantz and Guildenstern come in? Well, in that previous, not literal scene, but previous episode, let's say, before the king and queen talked to Polonius, they were talking to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, Hamlet's childhood friends, whom they sent for to try to ferret out of Hamlet what his problem is. So, Hamlet starts talking with them. They come in. Hamlet, 2:17. My excellent good friends, how dost thou, Guildenstern? Ah, Rosencrantz, good lads, how are you both? As the indifferent children of the earth. Your gloss for indifferent tells you ordinary. It's not, that might be a meaning. What does indifferent really mean? Just kind of okay, not up here on the top, not down here in the bottom. Indifference today means not caring. It can be summed up by the other phrase, one word, whatever. I want you didn't do whatever. F off. Guildenstern, happy in that we are not over happy. On Fortune's cap, we are not the very button. Fortune's cap. He's describing Fortune here as a person. Fortune in the Middle Ages, Shakespeare's day, wasn't believed in Shakespeare's day, but Fortune was always a woman. Take that back. A goddess. All right? So on Fortune's cap, on the hat or bonnet that the goddess Fortune wears, which one is this? Guildenstern says, we are not the very button, we're not the very top thing. He's also playing on the metaphor of Fortune's wheel. The top or button of Fortune's wheel would be right up here. And if you remember from what we talked about before with Fortune's wheel is always turning. It never stops. It might slow down at times, but it doesn't stop. So to be up here, or as he says, we're not up here, but to be up here means, man, the world is just wonderful for you. Everything is going super. The problem with that is because that wheel's constantly turning, you are soon going to suffer. Okay? So, we're not at the very top means probably not this side, they're probably this side. Rising. Things are not bad. Hamlet, nor the soles of her shoes, nor down here, because who's down here? This is the point where you commit suicide. This is where Hamlet's pretty close to. In fact, you can even say he is here. So we're not at the top. Hamlet says we're not at the soles of her shoes. Rosencrantz, neither, my lord. Hamlet does what? He takes those two and he does the average. And the average is, oh, you're around her middle. Go back to the metaphor of a woman rather than the wheel. Then you live about her waist, or in the middle of her favors. Guildenstern, faith, her privates, we. We live around her privates. Okay? It's a famous title of an English actor, if I remember correct, English actor's autobiography, Her Privates, We. Okay? What does he mean by privates? You've got the gloss down at the bottom. Where ordinary men sexual upon on private parts, etc. Okay? Hamlet. Oh, so you live in the secret parts of fortune. Oh, most true. She is a strumpet. A strumpet. A whore. Remember, we've already had conversations about fishmongers, sellers of whores, etc. Okay? She's a strumpet. Why does Hamlet say that? Shakespeare, in his sonnets, writes a lot about fortune and time, because fortune and time are closely interconnected. Fortune and time both do the same thing. They sleep with everything. Or, to put it more accurately, everything sleeps with them. How so? Well, fortune is what kind of governs this world. Everything is under her control. What happens to all people, time-wise? Ultimately, we all die. Some of us might die early, cancer, hit by a car, whatever. Others, 100 years old or whatever. Hamlet's saying, fortune does what? She sleeps with everything, man. Everything rises and falls to some extent. Even all this plastic, stuff around us. It all decomposes over time. Rosencrantz. Hamlet asks, what's the news? Rosencrantz. None. But the world's grown honest. Now, when Shakespeare has Rosencrantz say that, it is as astonishing in his day as it would be for somebody today to say that. You ask, what's up? And you say, nothing, but the world is getting better. The world has grown honest. There is truth and beauty and justice and blah, blah, blah. Hamlet, then the end must be near. Why? What did Hamlet say earlier? How many honest men are there? 1 in 10,000. They say, the world's growing honest. No, it's more like 9,000 in 10,000. Hamlet's point is, then it must be growing to its end. But your news is not true. He says, let me ask you this question. Why are you here? But he says, what have you, my good friends, deserved at the hands of fortune that she sends you to prison hither? What have you done that fortune has punished you? I'm interpreting that. To send you to prison here. Where is the here? Denmark. More specifically, Elsinore. Prison, my lord? Denmark's a prison. Then is the world one. Rosencrantz means Denmark stands for the entire world. If Denmark's a prison, then the whole world's a prison. Hamlet, a goodly one, in which there are many confines, wards, and dungeons, Denmark being one of the worst. I have no idea why your editor glosses some of the words he glosses, in which there are many confines, places of confinement. That's pretty clear just by the words, the other words, wards and dungeons, okay? Shakespeare might be, by defining or describing the world as a dungeon, he might be alluding to a passage of the New Testament. Where are dungeons in relation to, let's say, a castle that has one? They're underground. They're beneath, okay? Jesus, just before his crucifixion, tells his followers, tells the disciples, he's going to prepare a place for them. And he says, in my Father's house there are many rooms. Okay, and my Father's house is where? Heaven. Earth isn't heaven. Earth is what? According to Hamlet, it's a dungeon. Okay, which also has many rooms. It's the antitype. It's the replacement of heaven, so to speak. Okay? Rosencrantz, we don't think so. We don't think Denmark's a prison. Hamlet, well, then it's not to you. For there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. To me, it is a prison. What does Hamlet mean? There's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Go back to St. Paul for a second. St. Paul talks in one of his letters, I don't remember which one, about eating and food. He talks about the difference between eating meat and eating only vegetables. He says, a person of a weak mind, and I'm not supporting or denying either of this, he says, a person of a weak mind eats only vegetables. A person of a stronger mind eats fruit and vegetables. But the person of a stronger mind shouldn't condemn the weaker-minded person for eating only vegetables, and the weaker person shouldn't condemn the other one. And his point is, for the one who thinks that eating meat is bad, it's bad. And for the one who thinks eating meat and vegetables is good, then it's good. It's how you approach that thing, all right? This is going to be really important in just a minute. So, Hamlet. 'Tis known to you, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. That is, if you think doing something is bad and then you do it, you've done what? You violated your moral compass. What was part of Polonius's advice to his son? In fact, he says it's the most important piece. To thine own self be true. Do what you know is right. That's it. And you can never be false to somebody else. Okay? Hamlet. To me, it is a prison. Why? Because he thinks it is a prison. Rosencrantz. Why? Then your ambition makes it one. It's too narrow for your mind. He might be getting close to the problem. What does he mean by Hamlet's ambition? What kind of ambition would Hamlet have as a prince? Maybe to be king. Again, one day last week or the week before, I had written over here the word primogenitor. What should Hamlet be? Now, he should be the king. His uncle took his position. All right? Is that the ambition? Is that what Rosencrantz, is kind of suggesting possibly? 'Tis too narrow for your mind. It's almost like he's saying, Hamlet, you are so great. Denmark is just too small for you. Hamlet replies. One of the most famous quotations in the play. Oh God, I could be bounded in a nutshell and count myself a king of infinite space, were it not that I have bad dreams. Okay, so let's take that apart. I could be bounded in a nutshell. That is, go outside, find a walnut from the walnut grove, and Hamlet's saying, I could be locked up inside that shell. Okay? And while locked up inside that shell, I could count myself a king of infinite space. So let's extrapolate. Let's go from the nutshell to this classroom. Hamlet's saying, I could be locked up in this room and count myself a king of infinite space. Locked up. No door, no windows. Right? This is it. And I could think of myself as a king of, what does infinite mean? Okay. The N means un. Finite, finite, unlimited, undelineated, unbounded. The universe. All right? Except for what problem? Were it not that I have bad dreams. Okay? So, assume for a moment, here's the nutshell. Here's Hamlet. This is, to Hamlet's mind, infinite space. In other words, you have to imagine that the boundaries of the shell can't be found. All right? According to Edwin Hubble, famous astronomer who postulated what is called the Hubble constant, according to Edwin Hubble, the universe is expanding at a constant rate of speed. Question, what's it expanding into? What's outside the universe? Sit there and think about that one for a while. Empty space? I thought that was part of the universe. If this is the universe, what else is there? Unit, verse. One, the verse means place. Okay, so he can be a king of infinite space. Here, he says, except that I have bad dreams. What is Hamlet suggesting? Why do the dreams keep him from thinking or being able to entertain the idea of being a king in infinite space bounded by a nutshell? What's Hamlet's real point? What are the arrows representing? Where do the bad dreams come from? Do they come from Hamlet? Hamlet's saying no. If they came from me, he would still be fine here. Hamlet is suggesting the bad dreams come from outside. So I could be a king of infinite space. Why did I bring up Edwin Hubble and the Hubble constant? Except there are these bad dreams. The bad dreams come from outside that infinite space. Hubble's constant, Edwin Hubble doesn't talk about what the universe, and no cosmologists do, what the universe is expanding into. Okay? So, and notice it's not just that I have dreams, I have bad dreams. Which dreams indeed are ambition, for the very substance of the ambitious is merely the shadow of a dream. So we have substance, dream, shadow. Go back to that. Dreams indeed are ambition. So The dreams equal ambition. And he says, for the very substance of the ambitious is merely, the substance of the ambitious is merely, he says what? A shadow, is merely the shadow of a dream. The shadow of a dream. How can a dream create a shadow? What's the substance of the ambitious? The substance is the thing the ambitious hopes for. With Hamlet, it might be what? Being king. All right? This is the same kind of stuff that Theseus was talking about. Theseus says, the lover, the madman, the lunatic, etc., the lover, the lunatic, the poet, are of imagination all compact. And then he goes on and says about the poet. The poet, bodies forth the forms of things unknown. Okay? And then he goes on and says, if the poet, the lover, the madman, imagines there being some joy, then there must be what? An apprehender. They apprehend a joy. They think, they comprehend there must be a bringer of that joy. That is, there's got to be something behind this. There must be some reality behind this. We don't know necessarily what that reality is. Hamlet's going to kind of address it. So, back up. Oh God, I can be bounded in a nutshell and count myself a king of infinite space, were not that I have bad dreams. Which dreams are indeed our ambition. That is, he says, your bad dreams are ambition. What's he mean? Hamlet, you need to learn to be content. You need to be happy with where you are. For the very substance of the ambitious is merely the shadow of a dream. Hamlet, a dream itself is but a shadow. So if a dream is a shadow, remember the dreams come into Hamlet here, there must be what? There must be two other things behind those dreams. There must be the thing that creates the shadow, the dream, and the light that shines, that creates the shadow from that. There is more than what we see. That's why he tells Horatio, when Horatio says, "'Tis wondrous strange what they've seen," Hamlet says, there is more in heaven and on earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy, Horatio. Notice he doesn't just say there is more on earth than is dreamt of in your philosophy. The dream itself is but a shadow. Hamlet's point is, and that's why I'm not a king of infinite space. Dreams come from someplace outside me. Rosencrantz. Truly. In other words, amen. Preach it, brother. I agree, Hamlet. And I hold ambition of so airy and light a quality that it is but a shadow's shadow. Rosencrantz is saying, I'm just kind of happy with life as it is. Remembering my days in California and growing up in the 70s stuff, he's kind of like a lot of my stoner friends. Hey man, just get high and just float on by. Okay? That's what Rosencrantz is essentially saying. Ambition is nothing but a shadow's shadow. Hamlet. Then are our beggars' bodies and our monarchs and outstretched heroes the beggars' shadows. So, our beggars drive almost anywhere in Murfreesboro, get at almost any intersection to get on the highway, and you're going to see people holding signs for food. Then our beggars' bodies, that is, they're objectively real things. You shine a light, and they create a shadow. Then are our beggars' bodies, and our monarchs and outstretched heroes, what? The beggars' shadows. Outstretched heroes. That is, heroes who have given all. The monarchs and the heroes, they're what? They're the shadows of beggars. Shall we to the court? So, how do you take that line? Hamlet's going to come back to this kind of thing. Monarchs and beggars being the same when he has a conversation later on with Ophelia and then her father. Okay? So, he says, shall we to the court? For by my faith, I cannot reason. And you've got a gloss down there. Argue. I'm done arguing with you guys. That could be one thing that he means by that. It could also mean, I don't know what I'm saying. Like, I've gotten to the end of logic, okay? Because this, in one sense, is very logical. In another sense, they're sitting there going, Hamlet, what the hell have you been smoking, man? That's... And then he says, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, we'll wait upon you. That is, hey man, whatever you want to do. That's why we're here. Hamlet, why are you here? What make you at Elsinore? To visit you, no other occasion. Hamlet, no, come on, tell me, be honest. Speak. Guildenstern, what should we say, my lord? That is, what do you want to hear? Anything but to the purpose. Now, on its surface, that means, well, tell me anything but the truth. Why? Hamlet already knows what the truth is. You were sent for. That's the purpose. And there's a kind of confession in your looks, and when he says that, they kind of glance at each other like, damn, got us. Which your modesties are not craft enough to color. The good king and queen have sent for you. To what end? That is, for what purpose? Hamlet, that you can teach me. Tell me why you were sent for. Do they know? Yes. They were told, spy on Hamlet, try to figure out what his problem is. So he says, but let me conjure you like a magician. I'm going to put a spell on you. I'm going to pull the truth out of you. By the rights of our fellowship, by the constancy of our youth, by the obligation of our ever-preserved love, and by what more dear, better, prosper, could charge you withal, be even and direct with me, whether you were sent. And they said, yes. Okay. And Hamlet says, I'll tell you why. Now, not a minute ago, he said, you have to tell me why you were sent for. So he says, 279, I have of late, but wherefore I know not, that is why, lost all my mirth. Forgone all custom of exercises, that is, I haven't been practicing my soldiery, I haven't been practicing my fencing, my sword fighting, all that kind of stuff, or regular exercise. And indeed it goes so heavily with my disposition that this goodly frame, the earth, seems to me a sterile promontory. Exactly what he said in his soliloquy. So is he play acting at madness here? Not in these exact words, but he might be in everything else he's been doing so far in the scene. This most excellent canopy of the air, look you, this brave overhanging firmament, this majestical roof fretted with golden fire, why it appeareth nothing to me but a foul and pestilent congregation of vapors. Notice how he begins that. I don't know why, but the world sucks. And then he gives another one of the most famous passages from Hamlet. What a piece of work is a man! How noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, infinite, unbounded, comes up with ideas that are mind-blowing. In form and moving, how express and admirable. In action, how like an angel. In apprehension, like a god. The beauty of the world, the paragon of animals, paragon, the highest form. And yet, to me, what is this quintessence, the ultimate essence of dust? Man delights not me. They do something when he says that. And that's what causes Hamlet's next sentence. No, nor woman neither, though by your smiling you seem to say so. So Hamlet's suggesting, I'm not gay, and I'm not straight either. He's not saying he's androgynous. He's saying, sex doesn't interest me. Talk to somebody who's quote unquote suicidal, and guess what? Sex is like way down there. That's not going to solve any problems. We didn't think that. Hamlet, you did. Why else did you laugh? Well, if you don't delight in men, then you're not going to enjoy watching the players. So if you take no delight in men, all these players that are coming in that are going to produce a play, well, you're obviously not going to take any delight in that either. Okay? So, Hamlet says, no, I'll watch the players. What players are they? They tell him. Okay? So he keeps talking with them, and we see the players come in. Polonius comes in with them. And I'm going to skip a bunch. Hamlet has the first player speak a speech about Priam and the Greeks and the Trojan War and such. I'm skipping a lot. And just before the players leave, Hamlet asks the first player, that is the chief actor, could you learn some lines if I were to give them to you tomorrow night? A dozen or 16 lines? Easy. Okay? Everybody leaves but Hamlet. He gets a soliloquy. Now I am alone. Line 498-99, page 1277. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I. Why? Because he goes on and he talks about how this actor was able to produce tears in real feeling based upon the lines of the play that the actor recited about Hecuba and Priam and the suffering that these two characters suffered over the death of their son Hector and such. So he's saying he, Hamlet, is dull, okay, and rogue and peasant slave because he has not shown that kind of emotion over the thing he has lost, his father. So he says, what could he do, line 509, this actor, what would he do had he the motive and the cue for passion that I have? His father murdered by his uncle / brother. Hamlet's uncle, father's brother. He would drown the stage with tears, etc., etc. Yet I, line 515, a dull and muddy meddled rascal, peak like John of Dreams, I'm pregnant of my cause, and can say nothing, not for a king. 526, swoons, that is, by God's wounds. I should take it, for it cannot be, but I am pigeon-livered and lack gall. Pigeon-livered. We would say today, lily-livered or yellow-bellied. and lack gall to make oppression bitter, or ere this I should have fatted all the region's kites with this slave's offal. That is, I must be a coward. Why? Because if I weren't, I would have already fatted all the vultures and scavenging birds with this slave's, Claudius's, offal, his guts. I would have spilled his guts to the open air. So he says, O vengeance, line 533, why, what an ass am I? This is most brave, that I, the son of a dear father murdered, prompted to my revenge by heaven and hell, must like a whore unpack my heart with words. Why does he compare unpacking his heart with words like a whore? Well, unpacking his heart with words is to reveal the deepest, most innermost part of him. What must a whore do? Reveal her deepest, innermost sexual part, not feelings. But he's also implying a whore has to do what? She has to play the part of a lover. For you, tonight, for this next hour, I'm your lover. Fie on it. So he goes on and tells us, I have heard that guilty creatures sitting at a play are forced to do what? To reveal themselves. And he says the line, the play's the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king. Just before that, I'll have grounds. Just before that, the spirit that I have seen, 550, may be the devil. The spirit told him to do what? Kill your uncle. Taint not your mind, leave your mother alone, but kill your uncle. Is that a quote-unquote Christian idea? Is a good Christian ever supposed to kill anyone? No. What does Jesus say? They slap you on the cheek, do what? Turn the other cheek. What does he say, hanging from the cross just before he dies? Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. He doesn't do like two of his disciples wanted to do. Father, I call down all the fires of, burn them like Sodom and Gomorrah. Nope. So he reasons that spirit might be a devil. It might be trying to trick me. And the devil hath power to assume a pleasing shape. Yea, and perhaps out of my weakness and my melancholy, that is out of my sorrow for my father, as he is very potent with such spirits, he abuses me to damn me. So why is he going to add these little lines into the play? Couple of reasons. The play's the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king. That is, when the king sees what I'm going to have this actor do, he'll go and reveal himself. And why else? What does Hamlet want from the king? Proof that what the ghost said is true. See, if the quote-unquote ghost is not really his dead father's ghost, then does Hamlet have cause, let's say legal cause, to kill Claudius? No, he does not. He has no cause whatsoever if the ghost is lying, or the spirit, okay? So we get Act 3. The king comes in with Polonius, Ophelia, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern, okay? And the king's like, you can't figure out why Hamlet is the way he is? He says, no, all he says is he feels himself distracted. He doesn't know why, or he won't speak why, okay? They kill the queen. He received us like old friends. Nothing problem, no wrong there, okay? Polonius says, he beseeched me to entreat your majesties to hear and see the matter, that is, the play. Because they said, we got a little excited when these play actors came in. Well, that's good. King, we will. We'll watch this play. If it makes Hamlet feel better, so be it. All right? So, King, line 29. We have closely sent for Hamlet thither, that he is toward by accident may hear affront Ophelia. Her father and myself, lawful lawful spies. Why are they lawful? Because he's the king. And what I say goes. We will do what? We will so bestow ourselves that seeing unseen. We will see them, but we will not be seen. All right? We may of their encounter frankly judge and gather by him as he has behaved, if the affliction of his lover if love is the cause of the affliction. Okay? Queen says, I'll do whatever you want. The queen then says to Ophelia, I hope your virtues will bring him to his wonted way again, to both your honors. And she's implying something there. She's implying, if Ophelia, you can bring Hamlet back to himself, it will honor Hamlet, and it will be an honor to you. And the implication, I think, I could be wrong, she's suggesting you may end up marrying Hamlet. Remember, her father already told her, ain't never going to happen. Okay? So, Polonius, Ophelia, walk you here. Gracious, so please you, we will bestow ourselves. Read on this book, and it's a prayer book. Why? So that it may give this holy devotion look to your face. We'll stop there, and we're going to pick up with the aside by the king on line 49. I've put up a quiz. I think it goes active tomorrow. Might be Wednesday. You have until Friday night. I'll go ahead and make it active today. It covers Acts 1 and 2 of Hamlet.
Did you take? Do you have the assignments in sheets?
No, not today.